Terrence Howard just low key confirmed every victim's story about what happened with Diddy. And all I want to know is, baby, are you the prosecution star witness? I'm joking, I'm joking. But honestly, real talk. Terrence Howard just told a story that is really funny, but also low key disturbing about what Diddy did to try to get in his pants. Baby, Diddy, don't you know Terrence likes an intellectual? He wants to talk stream theory. He wants to talk bubble theory. Diddy was probably high on that Tucci and didn't know what to do. But the thing of the matter is, I'm gonna let you hear Terrence's story. It sounds exactly like what every victim says. And it sounds like what the prosecution also told us about Diddy. And low key, Terrence Howard just confirmed everything. Anyway, listen, you guys, let's get into this because you got to hear this. It's a funny story, but then we got to talk about how it ties into some serious stuff. For everybody saying, oh my God, what's going on? Why didn't they leave? Terrence Howard felt uncomfortable. And baby, when Diddy was doing this stuff, Terrence was at the top of his game. Remember Hustle and Flow? It's kind of hard out there for a pimp. How did a movie about whoop that trick, how did that win awards? But anyway, let's get into this. Where's the Terrence Howard video? I'm gonna let y'all hear it out of his own mouth because you know Terrence is a skilled storyteller. So I'm not gonna post the video because you know copyright and stuff, but let me set the mood, okay? Close your eyes and imagine you're in the world where Terrence Howard is wearing a fedora, a hoodie. The hoodie is up under the fedora. He has on a Mr. Rogers cardigan gray uh sweater. He has on a said gray hoodie, and I believe he has a wife beater on underneath that. Anyway, but he's dead serious. Let's get into this. Volume up. Okay.
Have the opportunity.
Okay.
He said no to it.
Hell yeah.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and he said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the
Hell
consequences
yeah.
when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there.
Yo, Puffy is a perv. I don't care what y'all say. He literally used old school. Can I get a hug? He used old school pervy. Yo, can I get a hug? How you been? Literally, you decided to be like, I know how I'll get him. Yo, could you be my acting coach? Let's get into this.
And he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing. And have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
Let's swallow the meat and spit the fat out because I get it when he's saying like a real man, but then that is a bit of toxic masculinity. At the end of the day, Terrence Howard, one, you had made your money. You got Hustle and Flow. You were in the position where you could threaten Diddy because Diddy couldn't do anything to you, right? Either physically, verbally, even though he has lost a lot in his career. And I feel like he wasn't maybe talking about all men. He was probably taking shots at the few actors that he feels like took the easy way out, if you want to call it easy. But y'all, if we actually look at that, first he invited him over for acting. Terrence didn't take the hint. And Diddy was probably high off of Tucci, couldn't remember his lines. It was like, okay, it's too much, too much. You know what? Invite him to do the music because he probably was like with the acting. There's nothing I can offer Terrence Howard with the acting because this is what getting back into the government, proving the government's point. This is what Diddy was. He was like a jinn. He granted your wishes, but you had to give up your soul. The only thing is, it was a slippery slope. So I think he thought he'd invite Terrence Howard in, and Terrence Howard was like, all right, let's do this. I want to know how much Terrence Howard charged him for acting classes. So he's like, all right, like, I'll take the bag. Cool, this and that. Let me do this. He was up and Diddy realized, yo, I can't offer him anything in the acting world. This little money I'm paying him clearly isn't enough for him to bust it open for a player, right? And Terrence Howard was probably with his little guitar talking about string theory, was like, nah, Diddy. Because you know it's not, nah, Diddy, you gotta feel it in your blood. Say it again. Where's my water at? No, Diddy. Where's my water at? With the no, man, you gotta take the toothpick out. You gotta say it with your blood. You gotta say it with your chest. Terrence Howard, he seems like the type of person that will take any scenario seriously, no matter what. He probably went in there saying, I'm going to teach this man how to recite Shakespeare, scenes and line. Meanwhile, Diddy's probably like, ooh, I bet you he looks so good with that shirt off. Oh, can I get you some water? And you know what the funny thing is? Listen, we're gonna get back to this, but why would I heard this story? I had a vision of Diddy trying to do what he can to make Terrence Howard weak in the knee. Terrence Howard came walking in 6'4", with his guitar. I'm like, you ready to work? Diddy was like, yeah, daddy. And Terrence was like, hey, what'd you say, man? He was like, no. I said, no, I am Diddy and I'm ready to work. The whole time Terrence was probably teaching him how to like get method ethic, recite Shakespeare, do all this stuff. Meanwhile, Diddy is like, what's this grape soda? And Terrence Howard's like, nah, man, you know I don't eat. I feel like Terrence Howard's like, nah, man, you know I don't drink fruit toast corn syrup. Nah, man, it's a CIA initiative with the Welch's grape soda. Yeah, you right. Fresh squeezed orange juice? Nah, man, you know, I try to stay away from the sugar. Fresh water? Nah, man, I'm not thirsty. So we gonna say these lines or not? Diddy was probably sitting there for the whole time trying to get Terrence Howard to drink something so he could do the Diddy special in there. But Terrence Howard was one step away from him, one step away. So after Terrence Howard left sober, right? Because according to the feds, Diddy don't like people leaving sober, baby. You getting a Diddy special whether you want it or not. After Terrence Howard left sober with his certain virginity intact, Diddy is probably like, KK, how you think we can get him in the bed? And KK was probably like, what? I'm not involved in that. What are you talking about? But maybe you should invite him for music because he's successful in acting. But Terrence Howard wants to be a musician. So if Terrence Howard wants to actually be a musician, invite him over. He invited him over the second time. That's when Diddy was like, oh, I got this. I'm the king of this castle. We about to make it pop. Busted wide open for a player. Literally, he probably literally had on dun 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 dun. What was out back then? Dun 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 dun. Get low, get low, get low, get low. He was like, you like the song Daddy from the windows. You like the song Daddy to the wall. To the sweat. Your turn to literally. Anyway, my whole point of the matter is, besides going off track, is I really honestly think that Diddy finally thought, yo, I'm gonna do music because I can't do anything with acting. And he found out that Terrence Howard did not have a price. But also, let's be real, Diddy is accused of rugging people. So congratulations to Terrence Howard leaving with his manhood. I do wish Terrence Howard would write a tell-all though, because baby, he just confirmed the prosecution's case in a throwaway on a podcast. Y'all listen, let me know what you think in the comments, and somebody tell Terrence Howard he needs to start a podcast because I know that man got stories to tell. I know he got stories to tell. Also, I want to hear the story about the way he literally was always crashing out over his ex-wife that he kept remarrying. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.